It was a hot, dry morning on a mid-sized commercial build when it happened. Not a dramatic collapse, not a fatal fall, but a crushing realization. A laborer was guiding a load being hoisted by crane when the tagline slipped from his hand. The load swung wide and clipped a stack of unsecured scaffolding planks nearby. They crashed down in a domino effect, pinning the worker's leg. He survived, but not without permanent damage. When the investigation rolled out, it wasn't the crane operator's skill that was in question. It wasn't faulty rigging. It wasn't a broken plank. It was what hadn't been observed. A stack stored too high, too unstable, and too close to the active hoist zone. Multiple workers had walked by it. Safety officers had walked by it. It had become part of the background. That's what we're here to talk about, the everyday safety observations that are missed, and how to see what others walk past. Construction sites are rich with movement, noise, shifting tasks, and endless pressure to meet deadlines. In this environment, hazards don't always shout. They settle into the periphery. And unless we train ourselves and our teams to see them, they'll stay there until they cause harm. Let's break this down. Imagine walking onto a construction site as part of your daily safety walkthrough. It's early, and crews are setting up for the day. What do you look at first? PPE compliance? Scaffold tags? Guardrails? Great. But do you notice that one stack of rebar leaning slightly, or that the ladder someone just tied off is fraying at the strap? Or that the concrete pour zone has pooled water from a broken hose that's about to freeze? The problem isn't that we don't know hazards, it's that familiarity breeds blindness. The human brain, when it sees the same environment over and over, starts filtering out the details it no longer considers a threat. This is why even experienced safety pros miss things. Not because they don't care, but because their brain has shifted into efficiency mode. Good safety observations break that pattern. A strong safety culture encourages workers to treat every walkthrough like it's their first time on site. It supports the idea that anyone, regardless of rank or role, can call out a hazard. The best safety programs reinforce this through daily tailgate talks, visual inspection checklists, and, most importantly, psychological safety. People need to feel safe speaking about safety. One of the most common gaps in construction safety observations is related to temporary conditions. For example, a stairwell that was guarded yesterday might have had a railing removed for material access this morning, or a trench that was benched properly in the afternoon might be partially collapsed by morning after a heavy rain. These are dynamic hazards, and they require dynamic attention. Let's look at a real case from Australia. In Melbourne, a scaffolder noticed that a bricklayer had left several pallets on an elevated deck near the edge. The scaffold was technically rated for the load, but only if evenly distributed. He didn't say anything. He assumed someone else had checked. Later that day, part of the deck gave way, causing materials to fall to the ground level. No injuries, but a close call. During the review, it was discovered that several workers had walked by the setup, noticed it seemed off, but didn't speak up. That moment, that instinct, is the seed of a safety observation. The trick is teaching workers to act on it. How? Start with building observational habits. The most effective construction teams build a rhythm into their day. Morning meetings that include what changed since yesterday, check-ins, end-of-day debriefs that ask what looked wrong today that we ignored. Supervisors can rotate safety roles, asking crew members to pick one thing each shift to document or flag. Visual tools help too. Photographs of yesterday's site compared to today can expose changes, missing barriers, shifting equipment zones, or new pinch points. If a crew sees photos of a messy cord layout one day and a tidy layout the next, it builds awareness that the difference is where safety lives. And we can't ignore complacency. In construction, especially among seasoned crews, there's a culture of toughness, of pushing through, of I've done it this way for years. But the truth is that mindset is fertile ground for hazard normalization. When we start ignoring minor rule breaks, an untucked chin strap, a harness not clipped in, a piece of equipment without its backup alarm, we stop seeing risk altogether. One superintendent once said, "I knew a worker who wouldn't wear gloves while grinding. Said he could feel the tool better, until the blade caught and he lost 2 fingers. That worker had performed the same task 100 times, until the 101st. Construction safety observations matter because they interrupt that cycle. They say, I see something, and I'm not walking past it. In Canada, a mid-sized general contractor introduced a peer observation program. It wasn't top-down, it was workers watching workers. Crews were given stickers, not for compliance, but for catching and correcting. If someone noticed a loose material tie down and fixed it, they got a sticker. At the end of the week, the crew with the most stickers earned a small reward, but more importantly, a deep sense of ownership. Injuries dropped, reporting increased, and the site felt safer, because it was. In this series, we'll explore what safety observations look like in other industries, but it starts here, in the grit and grind of construction. In the voice that says, hey, did anyone check that anchor point? In the eye that notices a cracked hard hat or a cluttered access route. So here's your challenge. Next time you're on a site, pretend it's your first day. What don't you recognize? What doesn't look right? What did you assume was okay without checking? Because what you see and what you act on might be the difference between a close call and a life changed forever. Stay alert, stay curious, and never stop watching out for each other. And thank you for sharing these videos. Together we can make the workplace world a safer place.